Ladies and gentlemen, in the bottom left of Oxide, from Psy Storm Gaming, it's your red Protoss. His name is MAXPAX. And in the top right, from NC Sports, Serral. All right, MAXPAX versus Serral. As I pop up the EPM tab, which is a fun little thing that my mouse can do. I don't know why, but it just has a button that is apparently hotkeyed to that. Yeah, MAXPAX versus Serral. Man, this is another one that, you know, a year ago or 2 years ago, everyone was looking at MAXPAX and was saying, is he going to be the next big, you know, European Protoss? And it's been a long process for him, kind of getting to that top level. Still, I mean, extremely young, I believe. And yeah, we'll see. We will see. MAXPAX, I don't know what form he is in. I haven't, aside from the IEM stuff and the DreamHack summer event, did not see a lot of MAXPAX games. And even those during the summer split, I was not able to really keep track of as much as I would like. It's something I say a lot with all the series that I cast. But it was true while I was at work. But Serral currently on a roll. Absolutely just, I mean, tore through a laser. Tore through a laser in the matchup that they played. Has been dominating this upper bracket so far in a similar fashion to how Zest has been. Which is crazy to say because, again, Zest playing, you know, from Korea in this event and still doing so well. But I'm interested in what state Serral's TVP is, or TVP is in. Because Serral's TVP was always something where it was, I wouldn't say it was as terrifying as his TVZ or ZBT. But it was still so good in the late game. Serral's late game TVP was better than everyone else's, just straight up. It was the best, if not one of, if not the best late game ZVPs in the world back in 2018, back in 2017. It was insane how well he could control his late game armies, and that hasn't changed. Serral's late game control is still extremely good, and oh my MAXPAX. Well, talk about late game control and all that stuff. We'll see if it gets there, because we already have +1 air attacks on the way from MAXPAX, and that's extremely quick. Usually you don't see that start up until, you know, like the first Void Ray or something is out. But no, MAXPAX starts it up already. Says, I know I'm going to commit to air, so I'm going to start it up now. Has the Void Ray on the way. This is interesting. We'll see how this goes. Because of course you can see the upgrades on units, so Serral will know that +1 has been made for these Void Rays as soon as it finishes. And usually that will clue the Zerg into the fact that it is going to be a bit more of perhaps a heavy commit to that air army. But again, we'll have to see if that is what MAXPAX is going to do. Because there is obviously a chance that it is meant just to be, you know, early air pressure and then transition to ground force, but with the second Stargate going down, hard to believe that that is going to be the case, as that's a pretty serious supply block for Serral. Is it going to be able to build anything for a little bit here? And MAXPAX, he's going to be sitting at a very, very safe position with this Void Ray. Ooh, does start building with Phoenix though. So he's not going to be committing fully to the Void Rays, going instead for Phoenixes. And if it's double Stargate Phoenix, that is a composition that if you hide it from your opponent and if you build it up well enough, when you do show it, can wreak havoc on the Zerg if they are not ready. If they don't have spores up, if they don't have enough queens, that composition can really deal some damage just by coming in and picking off so many drones, picking off queens individually. And especially with +1, these Phoenix are going to do so much damage. So we'll see how much MAXPAX can get done with it. Because he is building the fort, so it is going to be eventually a transition. You know, there is going to be some sort of a ground army present. It is not just going straight into a massive air army like we've seen from someone like Zest, where he goes for those 3 base carriers. Instead, there is going to be a fairly strong ground force beside it as well. And on the other side, Serral is playing about as standard as you can get, has those additional gases going down, has the Roach Warren also available to help defend. I don't know if Serral's going to be ready, though, for, this. He did see it. He did go in, I believe, with, was it circling? I don't know how he saw, but he saw the double Phoenix. So he knows that is a possibility, or he knows that that is going to be on the map, and already has queens in position here. One of them might get picked off as it's just a little bit far forward. The second one as well, just positioned a little bit too far forward, even with the Spore being focused down onto that Phoenix. He's gonna be able to get on out as MAXPAX. You're not controlling it properly, but double pickups onto more queens. Pulling away the injured ones, has to drop them all down because he's gonna lose Phoenix. And that's pretty massive there. Already losing one of those Phoenixes. You want to have as many as possible kept alive. Even if their hull, even if they have a lot of hull damage on them, just the value that they provide over time, the more you have, is exponential. And Spire's gonna come out from Serral as a response. I think it's pretty obviously going to be for Corruptors. You never want to build Mutalisks into a large Phoenix count. And behind this, MAXPAX has 4 additional gateways coming down with the Robo Facility. So, alongside this third base is going to be looking to get into that heavier ground army. 12 health on that Phoenix. Just escapes, just barely. And Serral getting into roaches. +1 range attacks and glial reconstitution. As MAXPAX is actually going back into double Void Ray. Decides that maybe, I guess he feels like he needs those Void Rays a little bit more for defense. As, another Phoenix goes down. Knocks the flock down to 6. Yeah, more Void Rays coming out. +1 ground attacks and charge. So the transition from here for MAXPAX is going to be that ground army as Serral has the Spire finished, and we'll see if he does end up building Corruptors out of it. The thing is, he has killed enough Phoenix that I feel like it actually wouldn't be terribly bad to go for the Mutalisks if that's what he is the kind of the path that he wants to take. Because right now there are only 5 Phoenixes, and that's not a really large enough number to fight a large flock of Mutalisks. But of course the concern is, if you go Corruptors, then he just builds Void Rays. And if you build Mutalisks, then he just starts building Phoenixes again. So it might just be an option that Serral keeps open for a while until he really knows that he can use it. Because right now, getting that +1 flyer attack is going to finally go into 6 Corruptors. So he decides that that is going to be the units of choice as MAXPAX is pushing down the creep. Has Charge Lots, has an Archon, has the Void Rays as well. So this Roach army, I don't know if it really will trade well enough against the Protoss force. When these Corruptors come out, it's going to be a lot easier for Serral to fight. Of course, they will tank a lot of the Void Ray damage. And with only 3 Void Rays, they should be able to fight them quite handedly. Or handily. Combined candidly and handily. But on the backside, once again, you still have MAXPAX transitioning out. Second robotics facility. Perhaps probably going to get into disruptors here with more gateways as well on the way. It's going to be a really strong ground army for MAXPAX. Drops down some Zealots. They don't get any damage done because the Queens are already in position. Serral, just on top of this positioning. The way that Serral is moving his army is so good. Constantly making sure that he has units in, to respond to whatever MAXPAX is doing. And, here come the Corruptors. I don't think they can do this for long, as here come the Void Rays and the Phoenix. Just nuke one down. Just to pick off Phoenix, though, and is going to retreat on out. As, the Zealots might have found an opening here to pick off a Queen. Are eventually going to be pulled on out as, here's Serral with a big army at the front. He's moved the Queens across. Has his creep spread far enough that he can afford to do this. It's Void Rays, and it is Phoenix. They are trying to make the hole. The Queens have transfuse energy, though. Serral, I think he's going to push it. He's going to be able to knock out the 4th base, but here's a disruptor. First shot is decent enough, but yes, MAXPAX has to evacuate the base, cannot hold it. Disruptors need a bit more time to get on up, and Serral, he's just going to retreat on back, says, I did enough damage. He'll keep pressing with the Roaches and the Ravagers, but the Queens, they need to go back to their base. They need to see what they can get done, as, again, Serral just has Roach Ravager, or has Roach Ling in the way to respond to this War Prism, and MAXPAX can never really drop it down. Is going to take an alternative 4th base here, but I don't know if his army's in position to defend it. Serral's already moving around, and is going to be in position to take it out. As, yeah, this base is not going to be able to go up. Oh, Circlings, they're going to catch up so many probes. MAXPAX now, I mean, he has a large army. It is a very, very powerful army as well with these Disruptors. That first shot, not going to hit. But the real question is, how much damage can it get done? How much can it do? It's, you know, the Disruptors, they need to get good hits. And other than that, you know, units-wise, it's 4 Void Rays, and it's only 2 Archons and 2 Immortals. And those are the units that you usually want to deal with that ground army a bit better. If Serral manages to collapse onto this force, it is not very strong in a straight-up fight. Those Banelings, they will absolutely crush through the Stalkers as Disruptor shots going out. Unable to pick off a lot. Still a few more available, but Serral knows he has to be careful of 5th Disruptor joining. And 5 is about the number where you can start to just alternate Disruptor shots so that you never have all of them on cooldown at once. It's this dance at the front. MAXPAX knows he needs to get damage done with both of his bases being cancelled. 4 Warpits coming through. Oh, this angle is so dangerous. Oh, he's gonna blink on top of the Disruptors though. Using the Disruptors to zone back the Roaches. Manages to get rid of a large chunk of the Corruptors, but here comes Serral with the collapse, just pulling back every time there's a Disruptor shot. Finally, a decent hit comes through for MAXPAX, but is constantly taking damage because Serral just, I mean, handles this fight beautifully. Run fight is going to get denied, and MAXPAX, you recognize that he still needs to push this. The Disruptors just not have been getting as much damage as you would probably expect. They really have not been able to force the issue. And Serral has been doing such a good job of moving in, attacking, picking off units, and then pulling back as soon as there's the risk of a Disruptor shot hitting his units. And he's just buying time. Serral knows he's ahead. Serral knows MAXPAX has no 4th base. He has been constantly hitting it with Lings in these run bys. He's gonna cancel it again. MAXPAX doesn't even get a cancel off. This is now a full commit to the frontal attack. I know this surround is just, every time Serral just pulls back, sets it up again. Now he's gonna have Vipers available. Serral, he decides he wants to commit. There's a huge Disruptor hit though onto the Banelings. MAXPAX, he needs to find those connects again. That was not as good as you would like. Stalkers, oh, just run into the Banelings. Takes so much damage, the upgrades. You know, MAXPAX does have +2 in this army, and he's thinning out the Zerg force. There's 10 more Roaches on the way from Serral. But actually, has MAXPAX done it? Has he done enough damage? Has he kited this for long enough? Has he picked off units enough that he can start to push this in? Well, he's gonna go straight to the natural. He's gonna try and section off the reinforcements of Serral with what he has left. Serral, he can't push up the ramp. Gonna have to sack. This natural base is fine. We're gonna try and bait out the Disruptor shot. The MAXPAX doing so much damage. And maybe he caught Serral committing too hard to the 4 base pressure. Serral never expanded to a 5th. He was just trying to shut down MAXPAX and keep him on 3 bases. And MAXPAX has a massive army still. You know, he still has 3 Void Rays that he's kept alive. Still has all 5 of these Disruptors. And they are the main threat here. They are the enemy for Serral, is these Disruptors. Constantly pushing him back. Oh, that's a huge hit. These Ravagers, they're not supply efficient. And the supply was a lie this time. Serral was not really ahead. It's just been constant reinforcements with Blink Stalkers. And I think MAXPAX now has enough that if he decides to go for it, he can just win the game. I think this is a situation where you blink forward. He's picked off enough. There are no more Zerglings left to buffer. I mean, Serral's running out of money. I think as MAXPAX, you go for this. Some Queen's gonna get put low. This is the push that we are waiting on. It is just constant fighting. There are no counterattacks. MAXPAX blinks forwards, takes a ton of Corrosive Vials though. More Archon's gonna be joining the fray. Another Disruptor hit is decent as so many Corrosive Vials coming down, but they're not connecting with the Blink Stalkers. MAXPAX takes game one. What a crazy game. And to the top left of Lightshade. It's your blue Protoss. No, it's your red Protoss from Psystorm Gaming. It's MAXPAX. And the bottom right, the blue Zerg, sorry. I was just laughing at that message. The blue Zerg from Mensv Esports, he's down in this series. It's Serral. And yeah, MAXPAX up 1-0. I don't know if anyone was expecting that, really. It felt like Serral was in such a good position after killing the 4th base so many times, but I didn't notice it during the game. He never transitioned out of Roach Ravager. There was never a follow-up there for Serral, and he was constantly losing units. He was bleeding units. He was bleeding Roach Ravager, and as we know, it's not a supply-efficient composition. It does not trade well in the late game, and you see that. Blink Stalkers with +2 were out trading it. The Disruptors were constantly getting damage. MAXPAX kept every single Disruptor alive. And that was so important. As we get to game number 2 here, it really is a question of how Serral will approach it. Because MAXPAX had the interesting build last game of getting that very, very early +1 air attacks, even before his first Void Ray was started. And then heading that into double Phoenix into his ground force, and it worked decently. I would say that Serral defended that opening and that harassment from the Phoenix better than MAXPAX did damage with it. We'll see if MAXPAX goes for the same build though, because so it's not gonna be the same thing. Immediately there's the Warp Gate on the way, but MAXPAX isn't somebody like Zest, where Zest will find a build, and Zest will refine that build to the point where no one can beat it for about like 2 weeks straight, and he will just win everything, and he will constantly use that build. MAXPAX isn't quite the same. MAXPAX, does makes a lot of builds and develops a lot of really interesting strategies, but he doesn't just, spam them on the ladder and through tournaments until they are figured out. Just gonna see a little bit of pressure there from the Adept. Actually goes on into the main. I'm not sure if MAXPAX was expecting to see anything. Could actually go into that mineral line and kill a few workers, but just playing Ring Around the Rosie with the Zerglings before eventually getting on out. And MAXPAX goes for the early Dark Shrine. Mixing it up a little bit. We'll see. Serral, this is a dangerous build to go against something like Serral. Serral is so good at scouting. He's so good at getting information and knowing what his opponent is doing. And if MAXPAX can stop his opponent, can stop Serral from scouting out this Dark Shrine, there is very much a chance that he will get damage done to him. There is a very good chance for him to pick off at least Queens and some units before Spore Crawlers are done. But that being said, Spore Crawlers are going to start to be added on pretty soon here. And of course, Serral probably does know that it is not Stargate. So he saw that the Warp Gate started researching before before a Stargate would be placed down. If it's immediately into Warp Gate, you know that there's no Stargate. And interestingly enough, now thinking back on it, that might be why MAXPAX started his +1 air attacks so early, because it looks like he's going Warp Gate. Because usually when you have a Stargate opening, you don't go for that upgrade on the Cybernetics core, just because you need that gas for your air units. So just an interesting little thing there. Maybe it was little mind games from MAXPAX. Oh, these Adepts might all just get cleaned up. That's huge. 3 Adepts go down, and now we have the DT making his way in, but there's already a Spore Crawler. Both at every base. Wow. Serral just prepared for it. I don't even know really off what information, but Serral somehow knew exactly what he needed to get up, knew that Dark Templars were a possibility with what he had seen, and sets up beautifully for it. Things. Gotta be able to focus down this. I mean, what is there here? There's a few sentries and there's an Archon, but Serral does have to back up. Doesn't get as much damage as he probably would have liked. And yeah, now we kind of wait to see what MAXPAX's transition is going to be, because you have the Immortal on the way. You have +1 and Blink, so a very similar build from last time, except this time it's going to be using Dark Templar as your Archons. You're going to be using those Dark Templar Warpins to get your Archon count up, but it is still going to be +1 Stalkers with Blink, with the Immortals as backup. And we'll even see if MAXPAX goes into Disruptors again. Because I really did like his Disruptor play in that last game. He was able to constantly kite back, able to constantly keep space, and just very, very slowly was picking off units one at a time with them. So I would not mind it at all. And yeah, there we go. Robo Bay on the way. 2 more gateways going to be added in, and can't help but feel like this is going to be a very similar push to what he did in that last game. Going to wait for the +1 to finish. Is going to have his Stalkers. He's going to have at least 1 or 2 Disruptors, probably, before he decides to attack. Unless I am incredibly wrong. And he's going to push out before the Disruptors, which does seem to be the case. To clear some creep, MAXPAX going to go across the map, and Serral right now does have enough to defend this. His Roach Raptor count is very, very healthy, has a good amount of links to buffer, and there's not really enough Archons that you would be super scared of this, but it's still a dangerous army. The Blink Stalkers with the +1 can absolutely shred through the Roach Ravager. And then, of course, the Sentries with their force fields and the Archons, all extremely dangerous, but, you know, this game is shaping up differently. We have a DT tried to go in, only got 2 worker kills, but you already have Serral transitioning on into that worker den, has the Hive on the way, +2 also going to be started here. A much more comfortable game here for Serral. And for MAXPAX, it's actually going to be Colossus. Colossus is his unit of choice, which is strange. I don't mind the Colossus at all. It's just that when it comes to actually defending against a really strong push from the Zerg, Colossus are just worse than Disruptors. If you don't have enough of a buffer for the Colossus, they can easily get pounced on, they can get surrounded. The Disruptors have a lot more burst damage as, ooh, the Nexus has to be canceled. All the Lings do get cleaned up though, as Archon Drop just flies over every single unit in Serral's army. And yeah, Lurkers are already on the way. Serral has really just kind of maneuvered this into the late game, defended very well. Really just dissuaded MAXPAX from ever pushing out, and now has Vipers, has Lurkers, is going to be working on +2, and his upgrades for his Hydras and Lurkers. It's Gonna be a very strong army that I don't know if MAXPAX is necessarily teched into correctly to fight. The Colossus are good versus Roach Ravager. They are good versus Ling Bane. They are not so good versus Lurkers. As soon as there's a large amount of Lurkers, unless you have really good micro, the Colossus and the Stalkers get shredded by those Lurkers. And I don't know, the Charge Lot, you know, this Charge Lot Immortal 2 Colossus army, I don't know if it's going to be able to trade as well as you need into what Serral has. Serral is already getting into 5 bases. You know, he's already teching into this really, really heavy lurker count. I mean, if you're looking at it, already at 7, adding on 2 more. It's very dangerous. And you see here, already Roaches going to be pouncing on top of some Stalkers. Just stopping MAXPAX from really pushing out. And this Warp Prism hanging about can be used for a counterattack later, but oh, Roach Ravager committing on in. Serral, I mean, he's pretty much just saying, listen, I need to trade away some of my supply to get into higher tier units. And so he's gonna try and trade as much as he can with these Roaches and these Ravagers, and he's gonna do a good job of it. It's all the way on into the natural base, using Corrosive Vials to zone out the Protoss army. Serral, he's just trying to trade away these units. He's trying to get value with them, and he's absolutely doing that. Killing off Stalkers, you know, stopping some production. Trades away Roach Ravager, is now going to remax, getting Lurkers, getting Zerglings. Units that, for him, are going to much more fit the composition that he wants to go. And now he's pushing in with a few Lurkers. Again, just trying to trade away this army and get damage done where he can. Serral, fracturing the front of this natural base, is going to force everything to be brought back. At the same time, here comes the massive Lurker run by into the fourth. I don't know if MAXPAX really has enough to deal with this. There's some storms that go down, though. They get a good amount of damage, but still. These Lurkers absolutely shred through armored. And that is what all of these Protoss buildings are. MAXPAX is pulling the trigger. He's saying, listen, I can't actually fight this at the front. I'm just gonna go across the map. Has so many Zealots that are just streaming across. He's gonna be trying to take out this is the 5th base for Serral. He's gonna be able to do so, but now you have the Zerg coming back, retreating back into this army, and there is so much Zerg here. So many Lurkers, the Vipers as well. Does not feel like MAXPAX can comfortably fight this, but he's gonna try. He's gonna go for it. MAXPAX, he's committing on in. I mean, it's a decent angle at best. The Lurkers are forced to unburrow, and MAXPAX, he gets the position. Manages to push through once again, finds the Killer Instinct. Still has Storms available, has 4 Immortals, 4 Archons, and 2 Colossus. He's gonna try and push this to a victory, but what does Serral have that he's rebuilding? It is a whole lot of Lurkers. Roaches across the map as well, ready to counterattack when they need. But Serral, he needs time. He needs to get back up into a big enough army. MAXPAX, this force is so dangerous. If those storms go down onto the Lurkers, it could be so hard, but there's a nice grab onto the Colossus. A Blinding Cloud, so many High Templar go down. A great target-fired shot there, I think, from Serral. And MAXPAX is suddenly a much harder situation. How do you make this work? You have a lot of charge lots, you have a large army. But is it enough? It's what we asked last game. And the answer then was, well, yes. It was enough for MAXPAX, but I'm not sure if it will be enough this time, because right now, Serral has so many Lurkers. I mean, sitting at 12. 12 Lurkers right now, available for the Finnish Phenom. Adding on 5 more, he's going up to 17 Lurkers. He knows that MAXPAX can't transition into any air army. And so it's completely safe. scouts, chasing down these drones which were evacuated. Is MAXPAX gonna even go for it? I mean, it's a situation where his base was just canceled again. But look at this! It's insane! And you have to find a way to commit into this. I mean, the only way that I can think for MAXPAX is you kill these rocks here on this side, and you go for a three-way surround. You come from one angle, you come from the other, and then you also come from the middle. It's the only way that I can imagine this working for MAXPAX. He's gonna try and start to commit, but there's so many lurkers. MAXPAX, he's gonna keep going. I don't know if I like this. He's just losing so much. Just can't push into it. I mean, it's... Look at this. I don't even know if I really need to commentate. I don't even know if I need to commentate this, because right now what you're looking at is 22 lurkers. I mean, this is a rogue amount of lurkers. I have only ever seen rogue in late game TVP build this many lurkers, and that was against parting. And MAXPAX, he's gonna go for Zealot run-bys. He's gonna try and see if he can get some damage, and ooh, this is a nice start actually. Gets quite a bit of damage onto those lurkers. Fortunately, his army is just not good at chasing down units. Even if he gets damage onto them, he can't catch up. Now you have MAXPAX gonna come out to this base, but can the lurker ball arrive in time to save it? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. The lurker ball can save whatever it wants to save. As, well, MAXPAX, you made a valiant effort, but look at how many lurkers there are. Everything is just gonna melt away. Serral takes game number 2. Game 3. I'll be honest, I am already exhausted from these last 2 games. It has been an absolute brawl between MAXPAX and Serral. But only one can come out the winner. Only one can move on. The other will need to be knocked down to the lower bracket. And that is an early cannon here from MAXPAX. Oh, I love it. MAXPAX, I think he's trying to make Serral think that this is a fake cannon rush. But little does Serral know, there is actually a forge that has gone down, and the forge is with the gateway. MAXPAX, he's cannon rushing in game number 3. Oh boy. Who else would do it but this man? As there's the immediate cancel, Serral recognizes he's not going to be able to get up that base. And I think now MAXPAX is just going to go cannon rush the 3rd base too. Do it. No. He's going to pull back. He's going to recognize that he got what he wanted. He has delayed Serral's expansion by a very, very large margin. And now Serral is going to be going into Roaches. MAXPAX is getting up his own Nexus unperturbed. Battery being added on. I don't think MAXPAX is going to keep that. I really don't see this contain working out for much longer, just because you already have Serral producing roaches, and pretty soon is going to get rid of this high ground vision, plus the queen can outrange that cannon onto the probe. I just don't see this really being a lasting contain from MAXPAX. See, the Adept is here. Well, shield battery protecting the Adept, and actually, this is getting some pretty good damage done. is annoying. Serral has not been able to clean this up. Finally morphs Ravagers, but behind this, Serral hasn't been able to really comfortably get this second base operational. MAXPAX is moving already into Stargates and Void Rays. That's already on the docket for him. And finally this cannon will be cleaned up. The shield battery will be gotten rid of, but MAXPAX, I think he got everything that he wanted out of that. Oh, these Adepts. No worker kills, and they do end up dying. And the Void Ray is out. Gets a nice supply block here onto his opponent, and Serral has to take his third base now. It is natural, but it's in such an awkward timing compared to what you would normally do if this had just been a regular probe block. Had this just been a regular probe block, then I'm fairly, almost completely certain that, you know, Serral would be able to just macro out of it. But with that being said, the cannon rush, it delays it much later than Serral would have liked, and it had that contain that went on for quite a while. MAXPAX, yeah, it just is going to be macroing into a fairly normal game from this point. He's getting his third base up. He knows that Serral can't really produce enough units to threaten him with the Void Ray out. You gotta feel like MAXPAX is in a great position at the start of this game. Glaives. An interesting research path here, as MAXPAX, I do understand, wants to be able to get that damage done. Wants to be able to have that option of poking out with the Glaive Adepts. Also has the Oracle, which is just tagging up with some Revelations. Got 2 kills earlier, but other than that, hasn't really gotten too much else done. I have to say the music is very fitting for the lull that the game has reached, but it is going to be continued Void Ray production, so call me crazy, but MAXPAX might have a timing here where he goes for Glaive Adepts and Void Rays, which will, the Void Rays will of course chew through the roaches, should Serral have enough to really warrant it, and the Glaive Adepts will then be able to target down the Queens. I mean, I feel like there's a possibility that that might be what he's going for. Of course, alternatively, it is just MAXPAX getting Glaive Adepts. He's going to push out a little bit with them, do some light pressure, while also just macroing up behind on his 3 bases. But I really hope it's the former, because look at this. We have Adepts pushing out. The Oracle is being sent elsewhere, but the Void Rays are pushing with it. It's going to be this really kind of cool off-timing 7-minute Void Ray Adept push here from MAXPAX with a second Stargate coming in behind this. It's Glaive Adepts. What do you have, Serral? Can you defend this? Let's see, as one Queen is immediately focused down. The second, a Transfuse is onto it. The Void Rays have to be pulled back, but instead is the Queen's getting focused down by MAXPAX as he is sending those Adepts into the main. And there we go, the Void Rays are the only things left trying to do damage. But now it's time for worker kills. Oh, Stasis Trap. Has managed to catch quite a few workers. I really actually feel like MAXPAX should have caught that. I feel like he had enough damage to, but instead he's just gonna focus down workers. It's 5 more drones. Managed to clean up a few. Sorry, managed to clean up a few of the Lings, and the Void Rays are gonna be pushed back. And the resounding answer is yes, Serral had enough to just make sure that he did not die. But now behind this, Fleet Beacon on the way. It's gonna be double Stargate with +1. I mean, MAXPAX is nailing these transitions right now. Knowing exactly when he needs to go for things, but Serral already has the Spire on the way. Both these players operating with such a low supply, considering the state that the game is in. Void Ray's unable to get the pick off there. And Void Ray's speed. Oh. Wait, is this 3 Stargate? Oh, it's 3 Stargate. MAXPAX is going 3 Stargate Void Ray, I love this. 3 Stargate Void Ray with speed is just going to try and be all over the map. Faster than the Queens can reposition. Faster than Serral can really get units in position for, and then he can run away before anything can catch him. This is such an interesting build here for MAXPAX. We'll see if Serral's ready for it. The Spire is there. The Vipers are already on the way, and, well, his Queen's just positioned perfectly. Serral absolutely on top of what he needs to be on top of. Which, redundancy, but Serral absolutely on top of that positioning, knowing where the Void Rays are going. Has a Ling Ryan by setup, and immediately into the Greater Spire. Really? So Serral's gonna be going for Corruptors. Broodlord Corruptor already has Vipers on the way. But he's going up against triple Void Ray production. I do not know how this ends up squaring off, but these speed Void Rays are just coming through, and they're gonna try and focus down to base before the Queens can even get there, and they're absolutely able to. The recall immediately goes down. Oh, this build is sick. As finally it's going to be MAXPAX now transitioning, getting on into Triple Tempest to be able to deal damage from range. Just giving him that option of having, you know, ranged units, or having units other than the Void Rays that can pick away at what Serral is building. And Serral, what are you doing? You can't attack this. Look how many photon cannons there are. MAXPAX is an absolute madman. +2 air attacks now on the way. 3 Tempests have joined this fleet. And, oh, High Templar gonna get picked off potentially. This is a huge pickoff here for Serral, but so many cannons. He loses so many Zerglings just trying to do that. And now you have carriers. MAXPAX is, I mean, pretty much what MAXPAX is saying is, listen, I have done enough damage. All I need to do is get into this massive air toss army, and you can't really fight me. You don't really have the position to get into the units that you need in order to contest this. And I mean, we see it. It's a Greater Spire. What is it going to be used for? There's a second Spire on the way, but there are no Corruptors that have been built. And Serral, he's going to this ground force. He's getting Ultralisks. He's going to try and break down bases and play this kind of run-by style to stop MAXPAX from ever pushing him until he can get into that air army. And we'll see if it's gonna work. Because right now, this Air Force is terrified. This is the Golden Armada, if ever there was one. You see already, Baneling Run-By is gonna be able to eliminate cannons. Again, it's Serral. He's just trying to buy time here. He's trying to keep MAXPAX from pushing out onto the map because he knows that he can't defend if MAXPAX does. He knows that he doesn't have enough units. You know, he has Queens, but those probably aren't going to be enough. And so he has to just try and push with this ground-based army and eliminate bases. And here we go, Serral. Pushing in with Ultralisk, but yeah, there's so many Void Rays. Transfuses are coming down, though. There are also Storms available. Ooh, those are really good Disruptor hit. Where are the feedbacks? Not as Microbial Shroud has popped down. That's the first time I've ever seen that ability used. But Serral is buying time. There were no feedbacks used by MAXPAX. He's getting into his +3 air attacks and Storm. But it is a large ball of Ultralisks and Corruptors, and this is an army that even though MAXPAX, he does a lot of damage, it's hard for him to kill this. And Serral, again, he's going to try and see how much damage he can get done, how much he can delay his opponent, as he's just going to push on into these cannons. He doesn't care at all, as here comes the Air Armada. Void Ray's going to focus down one. Ooh. Unable to get any Ultralisks. we might be reaching the point where MAXPAX says it's time to pull the trigger. He's gonna have Storm. He's halfway to +3 almost. I don't see Serral having enough time now. He's gonna throw down Microbial Shrouds, and that does good, but it doesn't protect from the storms. As here go the Ultras trying to dive on top of the High Templar, and they don't manage to get them. There's 3 still High Templar, or there's still 3 High Templar left. They don't even need storms. MAXPAX is just gonna decimate the army, and he pulls the trigger. He says, I'm not gonna give you any more time. This is all the time that you have, Serral. And it is not enough. The Remax is 19 Corruptors. Serral is gonna try and hold on with this. Keeping Queens alive, keeping Ultralists alive. But there's still storms available. And behind this, MAXPAX on 4 bases is rebuilding his Void Rays. He is getting back into an army that will be able to deal with the armored units. Now he has to be careful, he's losing a lot of Interceptors here. And if he loses too many, it might allow the Corruptors to dive on in on top of his army. But I just feel like MAXPAX, he has so much. And sure, you can build Brood Lord, Serral, but do you have enough time? I don't think the answer is yes here. As MAXPAX is just pushing down these bases. Serral, he wants to win this, he wants to go on. He wants to get into that round of 2. But there's just so much damage. The feedback's onto the Vipers. And MAXPAX is still pushing. He still has money. Sure, you have 5 Ultralists on the way, but what are Ultralists going to do against this army? They're going to buffer, and that is about it. As a Zealot run by, 40 workers have been killed. Serral is suddenly dipping in supply. And MAXPAX, he still has a huge army. I was gonna try and combine huge and ginormous. He doesn't need it. It's big enough, and where can you commit? The Storms can zone out all of the Corruptors. MAXPAX is just saying, you can't walk up. You can't. And he's right. Serral can't. Here we go, this is it. The storms have been used, there are no more storms left, so this is Serral's time to go in. He has a lot of Corruptors, but he needs to focus fire. Getting rid of the Interceptors first. Make sure that the carriers are no longer gonna be useful. That's a great Parasitic Bomb. It's doing so much damage, manages to eliminate quite a few of those carriers. Serral, his supply is dipping, he's trying to do it, but there is just too much. MAXPAX takes game 3.